Welcome aboard, everyone. I'm really glad to have you back here with me in the galley today. If this is your first time joining us, go ahead and get comfortable. My name is Mila, and I've been a flight attendant for more than 15 years, flying nonstop across the United States and to nearly every corner of the globe. I've poured millions of cups of coffee, steadied shaking hands during turbulence, and stood at boarding doors watching thousands of passengers file past me day after day. When you spend that much time in airports, you start noticing things most travelers never see. You notice how security rules quietly change. You notice new technology appearing at checkpoints before anyone explains it. And you notice the small, innocent mistakes that suddenly turn into big problems for people who are just trying to get on vacation. Today's conversation is important, and it's a little uncomfortable, but it needs to happen. We need to talk about your phone. Not the brand, not the case, not whether it's an iPhone or Android, but what's actually inside it. For a long time, we thought airport security cared only about luggage, liquids, sharp objects, batteries, and forgotten water bottles. But in 2026, the focus has shifted. Data is now the concern. Information has become the new form of contraband. And for my senior travelers, who happen to be my absolute favorite passengers, this is an especially vulnerable area. Let's be honest for a moment. Many seniors didn't grow up managing digital privacy. You have grandkids who install apps to help you. You have well-meaning relatives who download things onto your phone without explaining what they do. You add apps because they seem useful or because someone said they were safe without realizing the digital trail they create. Over the last year, I've seen a sharp increase in what security professionals call electronic device examinations, especially during international travel and secondary screening. Officers aren't just looking for physical threats anymore. They're looking for intent. They're looking for patterns. And your phone tells a story whether you mean it to or not. Now, I want to be clear so no one panics unnecessarily. The TSA officer checking your ID at a domestic checkpoint is not scrolling through your apps for fun. They are not interested in your games or photos. But if you are selected for secondary screening, or if you're crossing an international border and dealing with Customs and Border Protection, your phone becomes fair game. Courts have consistently ruled that border crossings operate under very different rules. Officers can ask you to unlock your phone, they can scroll through it, they can examine apps, photos, and files. And if they see something that matches a risk profile, you can end up sitting in a small room for hours while they figure out whether you're a threat or just confused. Seniors are often pulled into these situations not because anyone thinks they're criminals, but because unsecured devices, outdated apps, and digital clutter make you look vulnerable or suspicious to automated systems. Algorithms don't understand context. They only recognize patterns. And there are 5 specific categories of apps that consistently trigger extra scrutiny. Apps that seem harmless, apps many of you use every day, apps that can turn a smooth trip into a stressful ordeal without you ever realizing why. So before we go any further, grab your reading glasses, put your phone on the table in front of you, and take a breath. We're going to walk through this calmly and clearly. I'm going to explain which apps cause problems, why they do, and what you should do about them before your next flight. This isn't about fear. It's about preparation, and the goal is simple. When you travel, you want to look boring, compliant, and unremarkable. That's how you move through airports smoothly, confidently, and without unnecessary stress. Now that you understand why phones have become such a sensitive issue at airports, especially in 2026, let's talk about the first category of apps that causes more problems than almost anything else. This one surprises people every single time, particularly my senior passengers who rely on natural remedies. Cannabis and CBD locator or delivery apps are a major red flag under federal jurisdiction. I know many of you are thinking, Mila, this is legal where I live, or I only use CBD cream for joint pain. I hear this all the time. But here is the reality you must understand. Airports are federal property. Airspace is federal jurisdiction. Federal law overrides state law the moment you pass the security checkpoint. Cannabis, including many CBD-related products, remains federally restricted. When security officers see apps like Weed Maps, Leafly, or delivery services on a phone, they don't interpret them as health tools. They interpret them as indicators of intent. That intent alone is enough to justify deeper screening. I watched this unfold firsthand not long ago in Chicago. An older couple returning from a short trip was selected for what they were told was a routine secondary check. Nothing was found in their luggage at first. Then the officer asked to verify travel details on the gentleman's phone. One swipe revealed multiple dispensary apps grouped together. The tone immediately shifted. Their bags were unpacked piece by piece. K-9 units were brought in. Connections were missed. They were embarrassed, shaken, and exhausted. Nothing illegal was found, but the damage was done. All of that stress came from apps sitting quietly on a phone screen. If you rely on these services at home, that's your personal choice. But when you travel, especially by air, those apps serve no purpose. Delete them before you leave. If you absolutely need information later, use a browser after you arrive. Do not carry probable cause in your pocket. The second app category causes even more confusion because people believe they are being responsible. Vault apps or hidden photo apps are extremely problematic. These apps often disguise themselves as calculators or utilities, but open into password-protected storage. Seniors often use them to hide banking details, medical records, or personal notes. Unfortunately, security officers see something very different. To them, vault apps are associated with serious crimes. They are trained to assume that hidden data means illicit content until proven otherwise. These apps light up instantly during digital scans. I once helped a retired school teacher who was held for hours during an international arrival because of a vault app her grandson installed. She couldn't remember the password. Officers assumed intentional concealment. What she thought was protection became suspicion. If you need privacy, use your phone's built-in secure features. iPhones and Android devices already offer encrypted, biometric locked storage. Third-party vault apps are unnecessary and risky. Remove them before traveling. The third app type is especially common among privacy-conscious seniors. Remote access and screen-sharing apps like AnyDesk, TeamViewer, or Quick Support are widely used by scammers targeting older adults. Even when installed for legitimate reasons, they create serious concern for security officers. These apps allow full control of your device by someone else. If an officer sees them, they may worry you are being exploited, controlled remotely, or unknowingly involved in financial crime. I've seen seniors questioned intensely simply because they couldn't explain why such an app was installed. If you do not actively use these apps for professional IT work, they should not be on your phone. Delete them. Leaving them installed exposes you to scams and unnecessary scrutiny. At the airport, clarity matters. The simpler and cleaner your digital footprint looks, the faster you move through security. That brings us directly to the third category, and this one is especially tricky because it's often installed with good intentions. VPNs, virtual private networks, and anonymous browsers like Tor are widely marketed as tools for safety and privacy. In everyday life, that can be true. But inside an airport, and especially at an international border, these tools can quietly work against you. From a security standpoint, a VPN suggests that you are intentionally masking your digital activity. Border officers are trained to ask one basic question when they see these apps. What is this person trying to hide? Tor browsers are the most problematic. There are legitimate academic and journalistic uses for Tor, but very few casual travelers need it. When officers see Tor installed on a phone, they don't assume curiosity. They associate it with dark web marketplaces, anonymous communication, and illegal activity. That single app can shift an interaction from routine to investigative in seconds. Even if you've never opened it, its presence alone is enough to raise suspicion. VPNs fall into a gray zone, but context matters. Paid, reputable VPNs used by professionals are one thing. Free, ad-supported VPNs are another. Many of those free versions are linked to data harvesting, malware, and criminal misuse. If you're transiting through or visiting countries with strict internet regulations, including parts of Asia and the Middle East, having a VPN installed can actually violate local law. In some places, simply possessing the app is illegal, even if it's turned off. I've seen travelers detained, questioned, and forced to delete VPNs at the border before being allowed to proceed. Even when re-entering the United States, an active VPN connection can complicate things. If an officer sees encrypted traffic during inspection, they may assume you are intentionally blocking inspection. That can lead to device seizure for further analysis. My advice is simple. If you don't fully understand why you have a VPN, delete it before you travel. If you do need one for work, move it into a deep folder and make sure it is fully disconnected when approaching security. The goal is transparency. You want your phone to look boring, ordinary, and unremarkable. Now we move to the fourth category, and this one is the most dangerous for seniors, not only from a security standpoint, but also for personal safety. Remote desktop and screen sharing apps like AnyDesk, TeamViewer, or Quick Support are the number one tools used by scammers targeting older adults. These apps allow someone else to see and control your device remotely. Scammers pose as banks, online retailers, or tech support and convince seniors to install them. Once installed, criminals can drain accounts, steal identities, and manipulate victims without them realizing what's happening. Security officers know this. When they see these apps on a senior's phone, alarms go off. Best case scenario, they worry you are being exploited and pull you aside for questioning, which causes delays. Worst case scenario, they suspect you are unknowingly acting as a money or data mule for criminal networks. I've personally heard passengers say things like, "Oh, a nice man from customer support controls that," which is heartbreaking and dangerous. If you are not an IT professional who actively uses these tools for legitimate work, they should not be on your phone. Delete them immediately. Carrying a remote access app across borders is like leaving your front door unlocked while traveling. It makes you vulnerable and creates unnecessary suspicion. The fifth category isn't illegal, but it causes endless frustration and delays. Outdated or third-party airline booking apps are a nightmare at checkpoints. Cheap flight trackers, bargain booking platforms, and old travel apps often fail when you need them most. They load ads, crash, dim QR codes, or display incorrect formats that scanners can't read. When your boarding pass doesn't scan, agents slow down. Lines build. Attention shifts to you. At that point, you're no longer just another passenger. You're the problem to solve. That often leads to manual checks and extra screening. The solution is simple. Delete the clutter, download the official app for the airline you're flying, or store your boarding pass directly in Apple Wallet or Google Wallet. Reliable, clean, and easy to scan beats flashy and cheap every time. Now that we've covered which apps raise red flags, we need to talk about what actually happens if an officer asks to see your phone, because there is a lot of confusion and bad advice floating around. Your rights change depending on where you are and what kind of travel you're doing. If you are a U.S. citizen traveling domestically inside the United States, the TSA does not have unlimited power over your device. They cannot demand access to your phone just because they feel like it. They need a warrant, consent, or clear probable cause. However, they are allowed to ask you to turn the phone on to confirm it is a functioning device and not something altered or dangerous. If your phone is dead and cannot power on, you may not be allowed to fly with it at all. This is why traveling with a charged phone is not just convenient, it's mandatory. Everything changes the moment you cross an international border or re-enter the United States. Customs and Border Protection operates under far broader authority. They can legally request your passcode and examine the contents of your phone. This is where preparation matters. I recommend what I call sanitizing for travel. Think of your phone like your home before guests arrive. You don't leave sensitive documents on the kitchen table. You tidy up. Before a major trip, back up your phone to the cloud or a computer. Then remove unnecessary clutter. Delete apps you don't need. Review your photos carefully. Many people don't realize they have pictures of passports, credit cards, insurance cards, or social security documents sitting in their camera roll. That's risky at a border and disastrous if your phone is lost or stolen. If you need copies of important documents, store them inside a secure, encrypted password manager rather than your photo gallery. Another smart move is logging out of apps you don't need while traveling. If an officer opens your phone and sees logged out apps instead of active accounts, they are less likely to push further unless they already have strong suspicion. Less access equals less interest. One of the most important protective steps you can take is disabling biometric unlocking before you reach security or customs. Face ID and fingerprint unlocking are convenient, but legally they offer less protection than a passcode. In many jurisdictions, officers can compel biometric unlocking, but cannot force you to reveal a passcode. Before entering a checkpoint, temporarily disable Face ID or Touch ID so your phone can only be opened with a code. On an iPhone, holding the power button and a volume button until the emergency screen appears will do this instantly. Cancel the screen and biometrics are off. It's a simple step that adds a powerful layer of control over your data. Once you've secured your phone and reduced unnecessary exposure, there's another side of this conversation that actually works in your favor. The apps that help you look prepared and cooperative instead of confused or risky. Believe it or not, certain apps signal to security officers that you are an informed, compliant traveler, and that matters more than people realize. One of the most useful is the official My TSA app. It's accurate, updated, and designed by the same agency screening you. When an officer sees that app on your phone, it quietly tells them you care about following the rules. It shows wait times for your exact airport, explains screening procedures, and includes a "Can I bring" search tool. If there's ever confusion about medical liquids, ice packs, or assistive devices, calmly opening the My TSA app and showing the rule directly from their own system resolves problems faster than arguing ever will. Social media apps require a different kind of awareness. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and similar platforms aren't usually searched in detail, but location sharing can create real-world risks. Many seniors unknowingly post travel updates in real time, essentially advertising that their home is empty for weeks. That's not a TSA issue, but it is a safety issue. Turn off public location sharing before your trip. Avoid airport check-ins and heading to Europe for 2 weeks posts until you're back home. If you're traveling to politically sensitive regions, be especially careful. In some countries, border officials do scroll through social media feeds to look for criticism of their government. If you are politically active online and traveling internationally, the safest option is to travel with a simplified phone that contains only navigation, emergency contacts, and essential communication tools. There's also a common misunderstanding about cloud storage. Deleting an app doesn't erase everything forever. But at the border, officers usually focus on what is visible and accessible on the device at that moment. Removing the app icon removes the visual trigger. When an officer glances at your screen and sees weather, maps, airline apps, and basic utilities, they lose interest. When they see vault apps, anonymous browsers, or remote access tools, curiosity increases. The goal is to be forgettable. Messaging apps deserve special attention, particularly WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram. Many of these apps automatically save incoming images and videos to your camera roll. That means every forwarded meme, spam message, or inappropriate clip sent by someone else becomes part of your permanent photo gallery without your consent. I've seen travelers detained because of content they didn't even know was saved. Go into your settings and turn off automatic media downloads and camera roll saving. Control what lives on your phone. When you travel, your device should reflect your choices, not everyone else's. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a clear, calm plan you can actually follow without feeling overwhelmed, because this isn't about turning travel into something stressful. It's about protecting your privacy and your peace of mind. Think of this as a simple pre-flight routine, just like checking your passport expiration or packing your medications. A day or two before you travel, back up your phone, then remove the apps that create unnecessary risk. Delete dispensary and substance-related apps. Remove vault or hidden storage apps. Get rid of remote access tools unless you are a professional who truly needs them. Hide or uninstall VPNs you don't fully understand. Replace third-party travel apps with the official airline app or a wallet-stored boarding pass. That alone eliminates most digital red flags. Next, review your photo gallery carefully. Delete pictures of sensitive documents, financial information, and anything you wouldn't want a stranger scrolling past. If you need access to copies, store them securely in an encrypted password manager. Log out of apps you don't need during the trip. Disable Face ID or fingerprint unlocking before entering security or customs areas so your phone can only be opened with a passcode. These steps don't make you suspicious. They make you prepared. I know some of you might be thinking, I'm just a grandmother visiting my family. Why should I worry about any of this? The answer is simple. Our phones now hold our money, our memories, our personal history, and our identity. When you travel, you are carrying all of that through a system designed to detect risk, not context. By cleaning up your phone, you prevent misunderstandings from becoming hours of stress, missed connections, or invasive questioning. You stay in control. There's also something freeing about this process. Deleting unused apps clears clutter, improves battery life, and simplifies your digital world. It's not about hiding wrongdoing, it's about removing confusion. When an officer glances at your phone and sees maps, weather, airline tools, and nothing unusual, you become uninteresting. And in airport security, boring is exactly what you want to be. I want you walking through that checkpoint confident, calm, and prepared. If anyone asks to see your phone, you know you've done nothing wrong and nothing looks questionable. That confidence shows, and it changes how interactions unfold. In our next conversation, we'll talk about the updated 2026 carry on rules for powders and food, because yes, those have changed again. Until then, take a few minutes to review your phone, ask for help if you need it, and remember that preparation is the quietest form of protection. Travel safely, keep your digital life clean, and I'll see you in the skies.